Do you want to know what really gets to me? Well, let me tell you. You got a bunch of people that, were claiming that Workhorse was the best thing since sliced bread. They're long Workhorse. They're going to hold their shares no matter what. This company's so great. It's doing big things. It's got so many catalysts coming. You know, all these YouTubers were preaching it, myself included. And the difference is that I'm still holding my shares. But are you? Are you? Are you still holding your shares? And if you are you scared? Are you a little bit nervous about holding your shares because you see the price going down to like 21 bucks or something? Because you see that the stock is only up 457% in the last year? I mean, is that worrisome? Is that what you consider a crash? Workhorse is crashing? Come on, man. So listen, here's what I've been seeing, and here's what I'm fixing to address today in this video because it's got to stop, okay? I see YouTubers that used to be bullish turn into bears. Now, I don't know if they're fuzzy bears because we do have a fuzzy panda problem, but I do know that people are spreading rumors and lies and information that's incorrect due to their own lack of doing research, okay? Their own lack of knowledge about the company. And that's what we need to address right here. There's things that need to be cleared up. So what I've decided to do is check out some of these videos by other YouTubers that are bearish. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to see what they're talking about, if there's any truth to what they're saying. And if there is, obviously, I'm going to, deal with it. And we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. But my main concern is to find out who is spreading information that is simply not accurate. And we're going to be starting today. So in this video, I'm going to be reviewing another YouTuber's work and another YouTuber's research. And I'm going to be debunking the information provided in that video and correcting it. So don't go anywhere because we're going to be starting right now. Hey, what's going on? It's Pat from Top Ticker Trades. If this is your first time here and you want to learn how to grow your wealth through investing and trading stocks in the market, make sure you start right now by subscribing and tapping that bell so you never miss a thing. I'll see you in the video. Let's go. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to yet another Workhorse video. I love doing these. I love debunking information that is not correct when it comes to my Workhorse. And I know that most of you, especially my loyal followers that have returned to the channel, feel the exact same way as I do. So today, we're going to be reviewing a video by Mr. Money Geek entitled, These four Red Flags Make Workhorse Unappealing. Should you be concerned about Workhorse Group? So here's how I plan on doing this. I've already made a list of everything that Mr. Money Geek has said, and I'm going to go through that list one by one, addressing everything that he has said and pretty much correcting it with the information that I have through doing my own due diligence. And I will also provide that information for the most part on your screen so that you guys can see that I'm not telling you a story here, that I'm actually, giving you accurate information. Now, I'm going to be addressing this YouTuber directly, and that's because I plan on sharing my video with him, because if I don't, then I'm not correcting any issue here, okay? I don't want anybody being in the dark about Workhorse, because what I'm doing here is trying to restore the Workhorse name and the Workhorse reputation. So the way that Mr. Money Geek has his video structured, he makes a few statements to start out with, and then he goes into his 4 key points, which are his 4 red flags. Okay, so the first thing he says is, last week was supposed to be and the announcement date, but they pushed it out 6 weeks, so that got me worried. And what he's referring to here is the October 13th announcement date, which was speculated by a lot of Workhorse investors and also by traders as the date that USPS was due to release the winner of the USPS contract. So where did this October 13th date come from, and why were people just so bent on this being the announcement date? Well, it came from a Roth Capital analyst who had previously upgraded Workhorse, and then just a couple of days later, after this October 13th date came along and the winners of the USPS contract were not awarded, he then downgraded Workhorse. If you ask me, that's manipulation, and the same email response is the same response that we saw to an interview question previously, which the USPS did with trucks.com on August the 11th. Now, notice that the USPS also says that they expected to have already awarded a contract winner by now, but because of the pandemic, they got a little delayed. And I'm pointing this out because another thing that this YouTuber had said is that the USPS didn't provide information as to why they needed to push it out. So to be clear, because this YouTuber is not the only one that's under the impression that the USPS has moved this date back, we know that it wasn't until September that the USPS just began the evaluation process of the proposals that were closed on July 14th of 2020, which was then followed by negotiations. And another thing that I've mentioned on my channel a lot that's not really relevant to this exact point, but I wanted to go ahead and bring it up. It is almost certain that this contract will be split between multiple parties because the size of this order. Now, if you'll look at this article, the USPS calls it a giant order. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are only 3 companies left in this competition, and Workhorse is, of course, one of them. So, that being said, without considering all of the major factors that dictate that the Workhorse is the only suitable option for this contract, we have to assume that Workhorse will have at least a 67% chance of securing a portion of this contract. But I'm not going to go into all that right now because I've got about 30 videos on my channel regarding this issue, and anyone that's interested can go check those out. So pretty much I think I killed that argument. The last slide I had up there shows clearly that the USPS previously told trucks.com months ago, long before the Roth analyst pulled the October 13th date right out of his rear, that they would award the winners of the contract by the end of the calendar year. Now, with that being said, I believe that the entire statement made regarding the announcement is incorrect, and specifically, it was not supposed to be last week on October 13th, and furthermore, it was not pushed back by 6 weeks. So, looks like there was no need to worry. And I'm going to end it here on that note and move on to the next statement. So, he says, the whole buzz for this company is the USPS contract. And in my response to this, I will say that there is some truth to this, but only to those that are in this stock for the wrong reasons. So you see, this is to me an investment. And yes, it may be a speculative investment, but it is an investment nevertheless. So as such, I treat it as an investment, and I'm not too concerned with the short-term fluctuations of this stock. So sure, it would be wonderful for Workhorse to get the entire contract, as the share price would most certainly skyrocket, because this USPS NGDV contract is in fact a huge deal for Workhorse in the short term. So of course you're going to have investors and even traders that are involved in holding the shares they're going to be hyped up. So while it's true that there's been a lot of hype around Workhorse due to this contract, I would argue that the way that you put it, or the way that he puts it, makes it sound like the survival of this company, of Workhorse, is contingent upon them being able to get a piece of this USPS contract. And to be clear, I believe that they will get majority of this contract, but I do not believe that Workhorse needs this contract in order to be successful in the long term. So yes, I do believe that in the short term, failure to secure a portion of this contract will result in a drop in share price. But what a lot of people are not considering is the fact that the pure speculation by Workhorse that they will get a portion of this contract has lit a fire under their ass. And that being said, they've made it a priority to prepare themselves to ramp up production. So they've raised a lot of cash. They've managed to attract key partners that'll help them in accomplishing this aspect. And essentially, they are pretty much a different company with the ability now to do a lot more than they've ever been able to do before, even just a few months ago. They are now able to go back and complete previous orders that they weren't able to complete before. And they can certainly expect to receive more orders once that is done. And Workhorse was essentially a startup when all of this started, in the sense of available funding and even the capacity to manufacture. So think about how much money they've had to burn in order just to get everything figured out and pretty much to get everything put into place for the major ramp up in production that they're expecting out of this USPS contract. All right, so now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Now we're getting down to the 4 red flags. And he starts out by saying, why would you want to own 10% of your own competition? So he's implying that Workhorse and Lordstown Motors are competition because, as everyone knows, Lordstown Motors has a 10% stake, Workhorse has a 10% stake in Lordstown Motors. So, first of all, I can tell that someone hasn't done their homework. And I'll start off by telling you about the Endurance, which is Lordstown's vehicle. The Endurance was originally made and owned by Workhorse, except Workhorse called it the W15 at the time. Now, Workhorse sold the IP, or intellectual property, on the W15 to Lordstown Motors, which was they made some modifications to, and they now call it the Endurance. So, as you can see on the screen, the Endurance is actually a pickup truck, and it's the first all-electric pickup truck which uses the 4 in-wheel hub motors as opposed to the traditional parts that you would see on a truck. Now, it's marketed as a work truck, and Lordstown plans on initially trying to supply commercial customers, and then they're going to roll out to everybody else afterwards. So to recap, Lordstown Motors focuses on all-electric pickup trucks, which will be competing with Ford and, GMC and whoever else makes pickup trucks for work purposes, and then eventually, just for normal customers. But Workhorse differentiates itself from other electric vehicle manufacturers because they are specifically in the last mile delivery niche, and that's what they're focusing on. So you're not going to see them making, electric pickup trucks and competing with Lordstown Motors. At least not anytime soon. As far as I know, there are no plans for that. So now let's talk about his number 2, his second red flag. He says that the CEO of Lordstown was once the CEO of Workhorse. And why did he leave Workhorse? It must have been real bad at Workhorse. Well, so here's the deal if you don't know about the history of the company. So Lordstown was pretty much formed in order to buy the GMC plant. Now, Workhorse was kind of struggling financially. they needed to get a loan in order to buy the GM factory, which was available for sale. But they weren't able to come up with that loan under that company name. So they formed a new company called Lordstown Motors, who sold the IPO to the W15, now called the Endurance, to this new company, and they used this new company, Lordstown Motors, in order to purchase that GM plant in Lordstown, Ohio. Hence the name Lordstown Motors. So that's the story behind that. It's got nothing to do whether or not it was bad at Workhorse or anything like that. It's simply, the company Workhorse had to do what it had to do. And, now the two companies pretty much work together as a team for the most part. Lordstown Motors is committed to helping Workhorse work on orders. So, for example, if that USPS contract comes through, guess who's going to be helping at pretty much the biggest auto manufacturing facility in the United States? So red flag number 3, he actually makes it's a good question, okay? He says in 2018, UPS ordered 1,000 delivery trucks from Workhorse, but only received 350, which were delivered. And then he goes on to make a point saying, well, how is the USPS supposed to select Workhorse as the contract winner for these NGDV vehicles and count on them and trust them to fulfill their orders when they can't even fulfill a 1,000 vehicle order for the UPS? So that is a good question. And let me start by telling you this. So initially, the UPS only ordered 50 of these trucks. And these trucks were ordered to be used on a test basis, or for testing. And pretty much this was a conditional agreement that should these 50 vehicles work out for the UPS, then they were going to commit to buying, not ordering, but buying an additional 950 vehicles. And they worked right alongside Workhorse for quite some time, developing these vans because they needed to basically fit their needs. And this is not uncommon for UPS. They do this with, every startup or every company that they're working with. So they're pretty much helping Workhorse out, but at the same time, they're also trying to replace their entire fleet with electric vehicles, or at least modify them to become electric, or hybrid solutions rather. But all the future delivery trucks that they're going to buy are going to be, in fact, electric solutions. So another thing that I need to point out here is that Workhorse did not have the funds that they needed in order to manufacture those 950 remaining vehicles. Now, I know that they delivered a total of 350 vehicles to the UPS. And yes, there's still 650 that they have not delivered. And that's if the numbers are correct. I haven't double checked the numbers. I'm going off of what he says in his YouTube video, but I'm pretty sure that's, at least somewhat accurate. Either way, it's not relevant here, because the point that I'm trying to make is that there was not a binding agreement or a binding contract for the UPS, for Workhorse to deliver these vehicles to the UPS. It was simply that UPS had made the commitment to purchase the additional trucks whenever Workhorse was ready to deliver them. But they knew that there were a lot of obstacles in the way for Workhorse with, the manpower needed, the manufacturing capabilities, and the financial limitations. So UPS was well aware that this was going to be a long process for Workhorse, and UPS was also well aware that Workhorse was or had a bid in for the USPS contract at the time, and there was and there still is no major rush. Now, Workhorse is now committed to finishing that, I guess I'm going to call it an order, but to finishing the order and deliver the remaining vehicles to the UPS, which will more than likely result in additional orders from the UPS. Now, don't forget that Workhorse also has Ryder, which is also selling and renting Workhorse vehicles, and pretty much the more business that Workhorse does with other companies, the more business that Ryder is going to be able to get for Workhorse. Then we've also got Hitachi, which is another strategic partner for Workhorse. I mean, they've got a lot of different avenues now. They've also got more, they've got the money to do things, and the manufacturing capabilities are now available. But just a simple fact that Workhorse is working on delivering the rest of the 1,000 vehicle order lets you know right there that the first 50 passed the quality standards that the UPS was looking for, that those vehicles were sufficient and, pretty much worked for UPS. So we know that just by them working on the rest of the order that, again, is not a binding or under a binding contract, and pretty much, whenever Workhorse delivers them, they deliver them. That's, it is what it is. And here's the last thing that I want to say about this. If you look at the very top of this slide, that's actually from the Workhorse investor presentation. It says proven track record with nearly 400 vehicles on the road and 5+ million miles driven in real life duty cycles and climates. That's actually referring to the UPS. So, out on the road, for real, in the work environment, not testing or anything like that, the UPS drove Workhorse vehicles for 5 million miles, and they haven't reported any problems out of them. So that's actually a very good sign, and it goes directly against what Mr. Fuzzy Panda says in his allegations, where he's talking about all these critical safety issues and whatever with the Workhorse vehicles. And there's actually another slide in the presentation that I can show, which also contradicts the Panda and shows that Workhorse passed without any kind of safety issues. And, that's also common sense, because they wouldn't be one of the top 3 contenders still left in the race for being awarded the contract if they would have had all these issues that, what's his name, Fuzzy Panda, can't even prove that Workhorse is supplier E or whatever that was. I can't remember, but whichever one that they're saying is the one that had 47 issues or whatever. If that were Workhorse, how in the heck is Workhorse still in the competition? And even if the vehicles that Workhorse used as prototypes had all those issues, obviously the reason that this entire contract has been delayed is because all of these issues had to be fixed. So it doesn't matter who in the hell had the issues, they're all fixed now. All right, and that's why they're doing negotiations right now, and literally nobody is worried about these safety issues or problems or whatever other than the Fuzzy Panda and probably Hindenburg. And you know what, they're probably the same person, but those are the only people worried about it, because those are the people that went short on Workhorse, and those are the people that are about to get bent over. And you know what happens to people that bend over, they're more likely to fall forwards. So Be careful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the last of the 4 red flags. So number 4, it says UPS has gone out and invested in a competitor, which is called Arrival, and ordered 10,000 delivery trucks. And because they've ordered 10,000 delivery trucks from this competitor, which is a startup named Arrival, it means that they put a lot more trust into a startup than they actually do into Workhorse, because the biggest order that Workhorse has gotten from the UPS has only been 1,000 vehicles, and also because this 10,000 vehicle order that came into that UPS made with Arrival was after this 1,000 vehicle order did not come through with Workhorse. So first of all, if we're going by this logic of, oh, well, they ordered 10,000 vehicles from Arrival, so they must trust this startup more than they do Workhorse. If we're going by this logic, then I'd like to point out right here in this article, it says that Tesla actually had an order from UPS to provide them with 125 vehicles. Now, to me, it would seem that 1,000 is a lot more than 125. So, by your logic, you're also saying that UPS trusts Workhorse a lot more than they trust Tesla. And here's the Tesla prototype right there. Now, Arrival is a company that's located in the UK. They are a UK startup, meaning that it doesn't affect Workhorse not one bit, okay? Because I don't think that Workhorse was providing vehicles that were meant to be used in the UK. I think they were only providing vehicles that were meant to be used in the United States. All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing is that Arrival has the manufacturing capability to put an order like that out, to put out 10,000 vehicles, whereas Workhorse at the time did not. Now, Arrival has access to what they refer to as microfactories, where every single vehicle that they're manufacturing is produced. And this is basically a small footprint, low-cost factory. And these use Arrival's method of cell-based assembly instead of the traditional automotive production line, allowing them to be able to deploy very quickly. And the first thing that we need to address here is that each microfactory serves a city and its community, sourcing from the local area and developing custom vehicles for that region, for that specific region that they're in. So in other words, you're not going to see this UK-based company sending vehicles to UPS in the United States. This is referring to orders for UPS in the UK, because, you know, the UPS delivers out there too. So that's for their fleet out there. That, my friend, is what you did not consider because you did not look it up, okay? So we need to be doing DD before we report on any company, all right? This is why Workhorse has a bad name right now. This is why people are comparing Lordstown Motors to Nikola and calling it Nikola 2.0 and all that other crap, because they're not doing the proper research. Now, some of my subscribers have brought to my attention that there's a few videos that I need to watch, and I will gladly do so. And I will gladly, you know, ride with Lordstown in order to lay one in the basses of any YouTuber that's talking bad about either the Workhorse or the Lordstown Motor Company, unless there is reason for them to be doing so. Right now, I see no reason for anyone to be doing so, but I enter all things with an open mind, and I'm going to check out what these other YouTubers are saying, and see just how compelling their evidence is, if they have any. I'm going to check out whether they've actually done the research or whether they're just talking out of their bass, like, the Fuzzy Panda did or Hindenburg likes to do so often. So what I need y'all to do, guys, I know this is a very lengthy video, and I expect that any other video that I make like this is going to be about the same way, because the video that I'm actually doing this for right now was relatively pretty short. I don't remember the exact time, but it was pretty short. It didn't take me very long to watch. Now, some of these other videos that I was just, referencing are going to be a lot longer, which means who knows how long my videos could be. So what I want to know is, am I wasting my time, or do you guys want me to continue doing this? It's your call. And another thing that I need to know is, if the video ends up being very long, do you want me to upload it as one video or two separate videos, or, how long do you want me to make these videos, basically? Because what I'll do is just say part 1, part 2, part 3, or however long it takes. Now, I'll still release them all around the same time, but, I'm just going to have them split up into separate videos, if that's what you guys want. So let me know in the comments below. Let me know exactly what you thought about this video. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me anywhere? What did you like? What did you not like? I want your feedback. I'm going to be very receptive to it, because I'm trying to improve the quality of my videos and overall improve the quality of my channel for you guys, my subscribers, my Workhorse family. All right? So please let me know, and do not forget, and I will see you guys very shortly. But before you go, make sure to check this out. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, you've made it to the end of the video. If you found this video helpful, I ask that you help this channel out by smashing that like button, as it motivates me to keep making videos just like this one every single day. If you're not a subscriber, you should consider subscribing, as I publish valuable content like this daily. You can do so from your screen right now, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can click on the video that you'd like to see on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.